So my Capstone presentation, Bunker Chronicles, it's a game I built. Description, Bunker Chronicles is a 3D video game with multiple playing levels. You move from level to level by defeating enemies and exploring. There's much to explain. About the Bunker Chronicles, it is a mix of different video game playing styles. It is an FPS, yes, it holds the principles of a RPG game, an open world video game, and there is a little bit of platforming. Definitions: an RPG is a role style of gaming. It stands for role-playing game. Usually it's in first person, but some games do have the third person option. In RPGs, you take the reins of the character and you play the role. So it's basically throwing you into the role of the character. You shape them how you want to. A few examples: the Elder Scrolls series, Fallout, BioShock. Most of those games for RPGs are stories because they like to continue what you start in the first game. There's a few pictures, examples. The top left is a shot from the Doom 3. Bottom left is Elder Scrolls, character fighting a dragon. Bottom right is the Fallout 1 from 1996, I think. And then the top left doesn't have an image, but it is the name of Minecraft. That is a adventure, sort of creative building game. You explore a lot. Another set of definitions. FPS, it is also an adjective that stands for first-person shooter. It is a style of gaming that is, of course, in first person. These utilize first-person controls, and they give you weapons such as guns and knives to fight off enemies, fight off bad guys, etc. And examples: Call of Duty series, Battlefield series, Battlefront. It's a game coming out, Star Wars Battlefront. Fallout can be played in first person or third. BioShock, first person. Doom, Wolfenstein, etc. Some more images. Top left is a shot from the Wolfenstein New Order game. Top right is a shot from the original Doom. Bottom left is Fallout 3. And the bottom right is a shot from Call of Duty. Don't know which one for sure, but one of them. Why? I chose to do this project because I have a passion for video games, and I know the side of playing the video games in front of your console, in front of your TV screen, and so I want to know what it takes to make a game behind the scenes, behind the computer screen, scripting, building, designing, and whatnot. But why did I actually want to do this? I want to convey to people that building video games is not easy, it is not a simple task. In media, companies try to slam different game companies when something bad happens, or there's a bug in a video game or a problem. They try to slam them, make them look terrible. Well, it takes a lot to get there, so they should take a seat. Influences. The next 4 people are video game designers that affected the creation of my video game: Shigeru Miyamoto, Steve Colley, Todd Alderman, and Todd Howard. And these guys are in the game world, kind of like rock stars, kind of course. Shigeru Miyamoto, he's arguably the most influential video game designer ever. He is Nintendo's leading game designer, and he also designed some of their few successful titles. Super Mario, Legend of Zelda. Bottom left is him with Super Mario, and the bottom right is the opening screen of the Super Mario Brothers game. Steve Colley, he is the creator of Maze Wars. It is sort of like the game before these first-person games. It's kind of like you see the image. There is a maze, and your character, your little eyeball, that's in the picture. That's your first person. So it's basically kind of like a first person in sort of like bird's eye view of going through these mazes and accomplishing objectives or tasks. And that's sort of where it branches off from, where games now take the maze, throw in a pair of eyes for you to see as you walk around these different paths and corners and hallways and etc. Todd Alderman is the lead designer of Activision, Infinity Ward. Well, he was, but lawsuit or some kind of stuff happened, and he took a 5-year leave from Infinity Ward, but he came back, and he designed for the original Call of Duty and the Titanfall video games, and he wrote for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, one of their best. And Todd Howard, he is one of the lead designers for game developer and publisher Bethesda Softworks. He created the Elder Scrolls series. He is the director of Fallout 3. He is one of the only few designers to create a Game of the Year award-winning game, and 3 years in a row. And those 3 games are the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, Fallout 3, and Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim. All great games. He is on the bottom left. Fallout 3, one of the logos is in the middle, and Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim is on the right. So a little bit of old history. Right now, Nintendo is probably one of the most historically memorable video game companies, but there were sort of games before then. They were computer games, but computer games without screens. So the first computer game was built in the 40s, played on a giant console thing. Can't explain it. CPU. It's on the left, bottom left. You see, it doesn't have any screens, but it has little buttons and bells and whistles. And it was called NIM. And the objective of this game, NIM, was to play against the computer and avoid picking up the last matchstick. And as you can see on the right, it's kind of like solitaire, except you're playing against the computer to avoid being the last person. It's sort of really, really complicated. But the computer won 90% of the time, which is a lot. And so recent history, more recent than, not that recent. Games such as Maze Wars, Pong, Pac-Man, they sort of shaped the world for where the 3D or first-person games are right now. And one game in particular that doesn't really stand out to first-person games much, but is a really big point in gaming history, the Jumpman, debuting in Donkey Kong, the original platformer. Jumpman would jump over moving objects and climb ladders in order to save the princess from Donkey Kong. And that Jumpman would soon become Super Mario. On the left is the cover art for the original Donkey Kong. The middle is Jumpman, and on the right is Super Mario. So you can see their differences. And at the top, sort of like in Donkey Kong, where you have to get to the top of the level, there's Donkey Kong at the top. Thought that was pretty neat. Okay, contemporary. With the game Maze Wars, it has become, that's sort of what shaped FPS games to what they are today. It's the basic layout for the game style for like Bethesda's game, do, hallways, turn corners, fight zombies, or not zombies, fight monsters or enemies, Wolfenstein, and some of Activision's Call of Duty maps. Sort of, close levels with tight spaces, close quarters. That's what gives these games their sort of, push, their spin. The bottom left is an image from the Wolfenstein, Escape from Capstone Wolfenstein. The bottom right is the opening to, the loading screen for Call of Duty Ghosts level Freefall. And if you look in the image from the Call of Duty shot, you see, above a bird's eye view of the map. And it's sort of similar to back at Maze Wars. You see how it's sort of walls and mazes, and you gotta walk walls and mazes. Contemporary continued. Nowadays, computer console games and companies like those not all the time, but they sometimes encompass FPS and RPG gaming styles. Some MMOs, some. But when it comes to most platforming video games, cellular gaming companies, and still Nintendo for their flagship franchises, they still do run with the side scroller, the platformer. They run with their side 2D view and not really the first person. As you can see in the first, the left image is a shot from my bad. Super Smash Brothers, the new Super Smash Brothers for the Wii U. It has its platforms for the characters to jump on and avoid enemies, and then it has its 2D plane that they play off of. And then on the right, you can see that is an image from the cellular phone game Jetpack Joyride. It is a 2D side scroller. As things come to you, you dodge and you avoid other objects. And it's a platformer because you can land and you can walk. You don't always have to jetpack everywhere. Platformers. Platforming, Deb talked about this, but a lot of platforming has taken into cellular gaming, and a lot of them also they've sort of become a new style of gaming, kind of, that are called infinite runners. So instead of having that 2D plane where you run, where the camera follows side by side, it's sort of behind you in a third person kind of view, and you're just sort of, camera plane behind you, you follow the character, whatnot. On the bottom left is an image from the new Super Mario Brothers Wii, which is a side-scroller adventure style game based off of the original Super Mario. In the middle is a infinite runner called Batman and the Flash Hero Run. And on the bottom right is a shot from, I think someone built it in Minecraft, but it is a shot of sort of a 3D version of like what Super Mario would look like if it were, a 3D world or whatnot. And that is, looks really cool, I guess, would be the statement. But sort of what I put that one in there for is because when you think about all video games, you would think that all video games are platformers. That's why I thought that image would be perfect. Because Super Mario is a platformer. I mean, usually companies or people just don't even say that, all games are platformers. But when you think about it, every game that has a plane with other kinds of objects that you can climb on top of, jump on top of, no matter if it's first person, third person, or whatnot, side scroller, all games are platformers. If there's different platforms to traverse on, enemies to fight, I mean, enemies don't really matter, but the different platforms are important. So my process, what needs to be done, this all needs to be done using the Unity game engine, and that's where I started. And there also was some JavaScript, C-script language that I had to do, write, learn, in order to make the levels, animations, characters, objects function how they should. On the bottom left is an image from MonoDevelop, the scripting software that I used. And on the bottom right is when you open up Unity, it gives you the Welcome to Unity little thing. In the back of that is one of the levels that I just used as sort of a test level when I was working on the enemy navigation. Thought process, it all began with the creation of the first level. When I found the idea of what I wanted to do, that's what I did. I just sort of took it like play by play, I just sort of did a lot of Google, what level should I make on Google, and it gave me some ideas. And that's how I got there. And yeah, like I said, a lot of internet, and it was very, very time consuming. Acquisition of assets. This process also took a lot of time because I had to find stuff that would work in Unity. Not all objects are native to the Unity, have a extension that works in the Unity software. So that took a lot of time sifting through all of the different objects and whatnot. I use different websites such as CG Trader, TurboSquid, download free 3D models, royalty free. I also use the Unity Gaming Store, the Unity Asset Store, but I don't have an image of that. On the bottom left is a shot from the CG Trader page, and on the right is an image from TurboSquid. Very, very easy. Level design. It just sort of took once I had my objects, I sort of just placed them on a plane, or terrain is what they're called. Just placed them down, and sort of, when I knew what I wanted in each scene, I just sort of shaped the map to look more like it should, or more like I think it should. On my images, I have 3 maps from Call of Duty that sort of show how the map would look, sort of bird's eye, and you know, it's pretty
Pretty bird's eye.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, so they sort of have a maze type look. If you sort of think about how Pac-Man originally looked, it's sort of like that. And I mean, the world size really depends on how big you want the game to play, or you know, your restraints on system software or whatnot. System software, you might want to make a smaller level, or etc. Level design build is me, building it with the objects that I have, actually putting them into place, scripting each sort of object and animation to go where it should. This also took a lot of time because scripting is really hard. And one wrong thing could ruin everything, and then one good thing is one good thing. And for textures and whatnot, I used another outside software called Crazy Bump, where when you find a texture that you want to use, you drop it into Crazy Bump, and then it will generate you 4 different textures. One texture for its definition, one texture for its glare gloss, so it sort of like shines if it should shine and whatnot. One for the illusion of a 3D surface, and the 4th one I can't think of. And the 5th one being the texture that you supplied, the texture color, the flat texture. And as you can see in the images that I dropped down, that I have in here, these are the images of the maps that I had those bird's eye view of. Those are the same ones, and you can see in their textures that they have, a lot of nice looking textures to keep, to make it look more realistic. Each year, make it a little bit more realistic, making it look better. Putting that player into the shoes of, well, not the shoes exactly, but putting them into that position of the Call of Duty character. Texturing, I just explained texturing, so I will skip that. Scripting. I used the mono-developed software. It comes packaged with Unity game engine. What did I say? Oh, the thing is, with like scripting, it's depending on the size of the game, the scripting will be either much larger or much smaller, especially with those open world games such as Elder Scrolls or Fallout. The scripting for that is tremendous because they have to keep everything running at the same time. I mean, not everything, like when you're rendering in the mountains in the background, or rendering in trees, or, it's really, 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 really time consuming. But yeah, scripting. Character scripting was a lot different compared to the world scripting, because the character scripting it would take for, the leg movement, so I'd have to animate the legs and then script to keep the legs with the body. I don't know, it's really, really strange. But with the scripting, they give you sort of options to change how you want the character motions to play through. So like if you want the speed to go faster, you want to jump really high, you change the scripting size, you want them to jump high, you want them to run fast, you don't want them to run fast, if you want them to do harm to an enemy, that's all in with the scripting. There's a lot. Basically everything after designing the level has to do with scripting. Level scripting. The level scripting all has to do with the enemy triggers. If you walk into a certain area, scripting is what makes something happen, like an event or, in the bottom left image, this will help. In the bottom left image, where the player is, sort of like, depending on where that player has come from, he will hit a level trigger, which will trigger the dragon to fly in from wherever it's going to fly in from. And also, level triggers are designed that whenever you step into a certain area or trigger for that other character, like the NPC over there, one of the little with little Viking dudes. Can't remember what city he's from, but he's a guard from some kind of city. Once you enter their certain area, it will trigger them to say a speech or say a line from the scripted lines, or not scripted lines, but voiceover lines. And that one says, always got to keep your eyes open because you never know when a dragon will fly by, and he's obviously not keeping his eyes open, which is funny. This middle image is a shot from Skyrim. It's probably a mod for Harry Potter Skyrim, and it says, "You're a lizard, Harry." Get it? You're a wizard. I don't know. I just thought it was funny. Modding. That's important. Yeah, modding. When you're modding something, it's sort of a mod is not part of the. It's part of the game, but it's not part of the game considered by the. It's not the developer making it. Usually, mods are made by people like you and me that want to exchange or change the experience of the game. And so this guy took his Skyrim mod and modded in a Harry Potter mod for his Argonian. That's what they're called. Lizard characters are called Argonians. He wanted to make a joke, so he said, "You're a lizard, Harry," and he made his joke. Animating also, when it comes to animating characters or animating, objects with more than one, limb, it takes a while because you have to animate each limb at a time. Animate, save, until you have your character, and then do all the animating features, like for idle feature, death, walk, run. Each of them are all different, and then you script those in once they're animated. You bring them into your assets folder and you script them. Testing. I didn't really do much testing because as I was working on the game, I just sort of changed stuff when it had to be changed. When something went wrong, I fixed it. So I didn't really do much testing, which I probably should have because there are a few problems. But here are a few funny bug experiences and funny, not so funny bug experiences. The top left is a shot from Battlefield. It's a bug somebody caught it. Apparently the head is not really that well scripted to the body, so it's supposed to script it to keep it down there, but terrible. The top right is an image from the original Pokemon. It's a game-breaking bug that if you were to catch that wild missing it will break the script of your game and wipe all of your saves and your save, and it will ruin your game. So yeah, bugs can range from just funny, not important game bugs to stuff that's just terrible and ruins your life. But that bottom right one doesn't ruin your life. It's just kind of funny. All right, so rendering. When rendering the level, for the levels that I built them on like a small scale, like just -1 scale to the level, way small. And when you render it, rendering basically means to export. You want to export the game at a high quality so that they see the best and they see what you see. When you set the game build, you have to set it to how you script the level, like placement of each level. You want one level to end after another or come up after another. It has to be scripted that way. And so scripting is very important in rendering the game, which is crazy. And those are a few images of a few rendered well, the first is a level that someone rendered, and it looks spectacular. And then the bottom right is a model of Iron Man that someone else rendered, and it looks awesome. It's just you got to render it with the right settings, high quality, you make what you want. Timeline, research started in October 2014, and it's still going because I'm still working on the game. The plan for it, October 2014 to November 2014. Level design and building November to January of this year. Refined story, like I worked on it a little bit. December 2014 to February 2015. The finalized copy that you guys saw is here. It was finished February 2015. I mean, completely finished. And then add on stuff that is not really a sequel, but I'm going to fix it up. May or March 2015, and still going. Finished product, well, not finished, but a rendered piece. I'm gonna play this little video thing because it looks nice.
We need to pull up a quick time.
That should be playing. That's
We
weird.
need to pull up a quick time.
Yeah, I don't have the quick time because I thought it would work.
Yeah, this is why we said to use the provider.
Nope.
You don't have it, you would have had to connect it to the.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, you know, you can kind of see what I was talking about with rendering textures and making them look interesting. Can't show you the video, which had some really cool animations, but oh well. Contextualization. I don't believe that any like my game is really good enough to be, you know, compared to any of these games, but hopefully I can work on it and make it look better. Okay, so Call of Duty, the Call of Duty series is due to the first-person shooter gameplay and fluid controls, sort of fluid controls, that I'd sort of say was connected or comparison, the only comparison I can make. Half-Life 2, that's a compliment that I received from people saying that, oh, it looks like Half-Life 2, it reminds me of Half-Life 2. And it's textured, world textured, and world design is pretty nice, I guess, they mentioned. And Fallout, Fallout usually runs, or Elder Scrolls usually run on non-linear gameplay. I mean, they have storylines, but you don't have to go by it, so you don't have to go by the storyline, you can do whatever the hell you want. So I sort of did it like that. You don't have to do what it says in the game for you to do, but it would be nice. Call of Duty, these are a few images from the game. Call of Duty, few their images from the game. First person, sort of, you know. Half-Life 2, so you can kind of see why they say that it's sort of alike in that sense. And then Fallout 3, can't really play a storyline on PowerPoint, but the images are pretty nice. Work continuation. I look to continue building on the game, working on my asset modeling and scripting skills. I also plan to make a linear storyline and voiceover and give better objectives and user interface UI. It'll come in time as I get better. Those are a few images from the little bit better. The bottom left isn't completely rendered, the bottom right is. So there's two different rendered levels for you to see the difference. The left sort of looks kind of blocky and not nice looking. The bottom right looks pretty sort of, angles look how they should. Future goals, I want to continue working with Treyarch, gain more experience. I want to move into the film industry and make movies about ideas and whatnot. And then one day build a production company, big dreams, experience, and persistence. Thank you.
Question for James.
Yes.
According to your future goals, you say you want to work at Treyarch. I'm just curious.
Not want to, I do.
You do?
You are working there?
So you want to let them know what you've been doing, what recently happened for you?
I work at Treyarch. I can't really give too many details
You
about
want to give details, just
that.
you recently applied was, you don't have to tell me, you don't have to tell me.
Yeah, I can't say any details, but I work at Treyarch. I guess I could say they're working on their next game.
Are you excited about having this opportunity?
It's really sick. Actually, I met someone that last summer I worked with at Activision Publishing. I met someone there that worked there. It was crazy because he was walking by the little, they have testing bays or whatever. He was walking by and he was like, "Hey, what took you so long?" And I was like, "What? What?"
So let's congratulate James
Yes.
I'm sorry, we have to wrap
Okay.
up.